Welcome, everyone, to the Almost Cancelled TV News Podcast. I am Peter, and joining me, as always, is Connor.
I am just about here.
We're going to talk about renewals, cancellations, new shows that have been ordered, all that kind of stuff. That's what we normally do here every week, and possibly ramble about other things if the need comes up. And around. I don't have anything planned this week, though. There's nothing that was particular.
No pre-scheduled rambling. Just
No pre-scheduled,
the natural
no.
kind.
No, I've only watched a couple more episodes of Stranger Things, so it's not time yet for another report on the rewatch. So I'll hold that off at least another week. But yeah, nothing particularly notable this week.
I literally haven't had a day off since last time we recorded. This is my first day off since last time we recorded, I think. So I'm just tired.
That's fine. Well, you probably get some booze in you over the course of this, so
Probably.
we can get straight to the news. We got some renewals to talk about. No, I mean, not many, I don't think, but we have a renewal for multiple seasons, though.
Huh?
Because CBS are confident about one of those shows. They've renewed The Equalizer, starring Queen Latifah, for seasons 3 and 4.
I don't remember what this is.
Well, I assume it's a spin-off of sorts from the movie starring Denzel Washington. The Equalizer.
I assumed that as well, but other than that, like...
Yeah, I don't know much about all of that either. The photo here's got Ward from S.H.I.E.L.D. in it, though.
Yeah.
So he's on the
good.
show. Or at least he was on the show. I don't know if he's like a regular or if he just guested in an episode. He just happens to be in this photo, but...
If they're using him in a photo, he's probably a regular. Get a nice little steady paycheck.
Yeah. Hey, so there you go. I don't have anything else to add.
CBS shows, it surprised me they don't renew more things in blocks of seasons like this, because so much of the stuff's so consistent, right, with their audiences, that they kind of know what they're going to have for years.
Yeah. On the other side of things, though, cancellation. After 2 seasons, Peacock have cancelled Saved by the Bell.
I did not realize Peacock had been around long enough to cancel things yet.
That's maybe the first thing they've cancelled. I don't know. I don't remember any other Peacock cancellations.
No, me either.
But I mean, I'm assuming something they did that was only 1 season maybe got cancelled already. But yes, their Saved by the Bell reboot, which was one of their big names they were touting as their flagship, has been cancelled already. So there you go. Not much to add.
I guess people really didn't want it that much after all.
Are you really surprised?
No, I'm not. That's my point. Look,
Yeah.
When this was announced, we were all like, "Who's this for? Who wants this?" And turns out no one.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. So there you go. Bye bye, Saved by the Bell again.
Again.
We got premiere dates. We got a premiere date for Cobra Kai season 5. That's coming on September 9th on Netflix. Surprisingly beloved show, this one.
Yes, people really like this.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out at some point. Because when it started, it was weird because it was in that, it was YouTube to begin with, and then it shifted to Netflix after like 2 seasons. It was a whole thing. But I'll have to get it at some point. And then another premiere date is for a show that I'll actually tell you something about because it's a new show, and that is Maggie, starring Rebecca Rittenhouse, which has got a premiere date on Hulu. It's going to debut the entire season on July 6th. So, yeah, look at that. The interesting part here, though, is that it was actually ordered originally at ABC, and then it was moved to Hulu. So they made a shift there as to where they wanted it to go.
It doesn't sell me with confidence between those two elements of its release schedule.
Oh, sure. It's a comedy. It follows Rittenhouse's titular character, a psychic navigating the dating world. Maggie's gift allows her to see into the future of her friends, parents, clients, and random people on the street. But when she begins to see glimpses of her own destiny after meeting an unexpected stranger, her romantic life suddenly goes a lot more complicated. Can you let yourself fall in love when you think that you know how it ends? She probably should have seen this coming.
I can see how this functions as a comedy quite easily.
Yes. there you go. That's starting on July 6th. Maggie. It's a rom-com sitcom with a psychic.
The perfect combination, clearly.
And then I didn't send this to make you watch it. I didn't really want to talk about it, but I just want to acknowledge that there was a trailer for House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones prequel.
God damn it! What's wrong with you?
It came out
all the
this week.
shitty trailers you made me watch, and that, like, objectively one of the biggest shows, and you're like, no, we're good.
We are good. I'm just acknowledging it. We can move on.
No, I'm watching the trailer right now. Screw you.
It's like 2 minutes. Well, it's a minute and a half. But you're gonna have to sit here for a minute and a half and wait for you to finish. Like, I'll tell you this. I glimpsed at it. I skimmed through it. Some bad looking wigs.
That's fair.
A lot of fantasy bollocks. They love showing
Yeah.
that Iron Throne.
They do. There's dragons.
The fan service of the Iron Throne, you know, it's like, yeah.
Look, it looks like Game of Thrones stuff, and you got Matt Smith in a crazy, very, very, very blonde wig.
He's got a bit of a Malfoy thing going on there with that wig. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Hey, and a date, August 21st. We did have that date already.
I think we had that date already because that wasn't in the news article, so I assume that was just already a thing. But yes, can I tell you how much I will not be watching this?
I have a sneaking suspicion our patrons will say otherwise.
Okay, they might make me watch the first episode, but they can't make me watch any more than that.
I mean, if they tip on the video of the review of the first one, I'm sure they can make you.
I mean, it will take significant. What currency do they use in Game of Thrones?
Like gold coins? Like, I don't know if the currency has a name.
I don't want to sound like a leprechaun and just ask for gold, but all right, if they toss me enough gold, maybe. But it will be hate watched significantly. I add.
Sure.
All right.
I got through the trailer. It looks like Game of Thrones stuff.
Yeah, it just looks like more boring Game of Thrones. There's nothing interesting.
People love Game of Thrones, Pete.
Well, no, they did love Game of Thrones.
That's why I said loved. I said loved. I think actually that is one of the most interesting things about this show to me is culturally how much everyone soured on Game of Thrones at the end, and how much people are going to go, oh well, you know, it's a new show, we'll give it a pass, we'll give it a clean try, because we still liked, 80-90% of Game of Thrones. Generally, not me personally, we just culturally, the collective we. So will they kind of give it a pass and go for it, or will it be like, that last season it was too soured, and this is going to do not so hot?
I can see it going either way. I can see it going down the path of it's not necessarily a complete bomb, but it is nothing compared to the numbers the original pulled in because too many people have soured on it, and it's also, it's a follow up, it's a spin off. It's sometimes that just dilutes what was there, and people don't want more of it. Alternatively, it could, and this is the sad way it could go. And not that like if it's good and it's a success, then fine. I don't really care. But like, what I don't want is something to be successful just because it has the name and just because it will do well no matter what. Because it bugs me sometimes that Marvel stuff does well no matter what, just because it's now Marvel and connected to Marvel.
That's fair.
So,
but for all we know, it might actually be a good show on its own merits. You'll hate it anyway, just because you hate that stuff, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means you don't like it.
I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, you will, because those patrons are making you watch at least one, and you know it.
I'll be the judge of that, you bastard. So next up, it felt worth mentioning that Paramount Plus is finally rolling out to more places, and one of the places it's rolling out to is the UK, funnily enough. So you can stop faffing about with VPNs or chasing down where the Trek shows are going elsewhere, because it's launching on the 22nd of June in the UK.
Maybe I'll hold off on watching like Halo until then. I did just order a new Halo mouse. hear me out. Hear me out. There was a Razer mouse that happened to have a Halo limited edition, like from when Halo Infinite launched last year. It's like a tie-in, like product branded one, but it was reduced to less than a third of the price of the standard, just plain black version of the mouse. And I was looking at a new mouse soon anyway, so I was like, "Oh, go on then." So I have a Master Chief mouse coming.
That was a thrilling story.
It was. Everyone should have a Master Chief mouse in their life.
Dear. Apparently, South Korea is going to be next after the UK, and then they've got plans for Italy, Germany, France, and Austria in the second half of the year. So they're sort of gradually rolling things out.
Standard continental Europe rollout.
Yeah, well, South Korea is obviously a bit different to that.
It is, but for the rest of it, that's what I mean. The rest of it, that's pretty standard.
Yeah, but there are some that are, like Spain's not. I mean, unless Spain already has it. There's a couple of random places that do have it already. So maybe Spain already has it. But there's definitely some places that still seem to be missing out. But it is worth mentioning that you can get it on your own. I believe it's going to be $6.99 in the UK per month.
I think the same price as Disney Plus.
You can also get it as part of a bundle on Sky because they've got a deal with Sky to offer it as a sort of pack-in kind of service. So.
Sure. Sky have those with kind of everyone though.
Yeah. So just worth mentioning. But there you go. So where are the shows? We got one comedy to talk about.
Thrill me.
Netflix has given the green light to Liz Feldman and her new dark comedy, No Good Deed. No Good Deed follows three very different families vying to buy the very same 1920s Spanish-style villa that they think will solve all their problems. But, as the sellers have already discovered, sometimes the home of your dreams can be a total nightmare. I'm not sure what this is, actually, to be honest.
What? This is very upper class. Let's compete to buy a 1920 style Spanish villa. Well,
it sounds like there's something wrong with the house, and that's why the sellers want to unload it. So there's a bit of a dark irony or something. But I'm just not sure what it is. Like, what's the...
Yeah, I have no idea.
Is it like that movie with Tom Hanks and Shelley from Cheers? It's not called The Fixer Upper, but that's what it's about. They get like a house, but then it does nothing but break down and have problems and need things fixed. It's it's a whole comedy about the house just breaking apart.
I mean, it could be that.
It could be, yeah, but that's a bit hijinksy. It's a dark comedy, so I suspect there's maybe more of a sinister side to it. And a playful way.
Maybe it's haunted.
Maybe it's haunted, yeah. I don't know. But yes. There you go.
Just the biggest surprise here is Netflix are still committing to making shows, I guess.
Well, season 1's.
Yeah.
Maybe a season 2.
Didn't I read something this week about they're being sued by their own shareholders?
Maybe. It sounds...
Okay. That was quite a thing to throw out there. So I am going to Google that because otherwise that feels...
Well, it's a bit slanderous. Or slanderous.
Yeah. Okay. There are headlines suggesting that the company is being sued for allegedly misleading shareholders on subscriber growth. According to the complaint, Netflix gave misleading statements and failed to disclose that subscriptions were declining due to, among other things, account sharing by customers and increased competition from other streaming services. Investors who own shares between October 21 and April 22 are seeking monetary damages.
Do you know the sad part is about Netflix's current issue, which is it's not growing as much as it used to be, which is making the stocks not go very well, so on and so on, is that I genuinely thought in 2016, 2017, because of the general standard and consistency of a lot of their original content, they would actually survive this when all of the other places launched with their own IP that already had, because Disney have Marvel, Star Wars.
We knew that day was coming.
And Paramount...
we spoke about this quite a bit.
Yeah, Paramount has Trek, and so, all these different places have their movie franchises, their TV franchises that they can bank on. And I generally thought at the time that things like Mindhunter, the OA, obviously the bigger stuff like Stranger Things and so on and so on, all those things would build a bouquet that would mean that it would survive when the time comes.
Just a combination of that and just pure name recognition and just people just having a subscription and just being used to that as part of their daily life.
But the sad part is, though, is that over the last 3 or 4 years, they have declined in quality, where a lot of the new shows aren't worth watching. A lot of them are being cancelled after 1 or 2 seasons, and they're getting a bit of a reputation for cancelling things. They're it's now a joke that they cancel things after a couple of seasons, and lots of people say, I'm not going to bother watching a season 1 until I know that the show's ending with a proper final.
Yeah, which is we've sort of it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? In that,
yeah, but they created this problem.
I wonder if they're doing better internationally as opposed to in the US, because obviously outside the US they still air a lot of things that the US networks make. So like Better Call Saul we're watching right now, for example, that's airs next day on Netflix, and they still have quite a few things like that internationally. Like I think a lot of the CW shows, for example.
Yeah, but notably, what the big one you just mentioned there's ending. So
it is.
Times are changing.
It is, yeah. That's why I think I mentioned last time we talked about this, that they have a big anime slate, because again they kind of they've managed to bring a lot of it over.
Well, all the weebs can keep them afloat then, but it's interesting that I do genuinely think they would have been fending off the competition much better had they, because Mindhunter, and it wasn't really their fault with Mindhunter because it was like more Fincher's interest and so on, but they cancelled away, they kind of backed out of some interesting things. It's
I wonder if this world that we're in with all the fractured streaming services that we knew was coming for a long time, if it happened a little bit sooner, when Netflix was still in that higher period, maybe they'd have sustained a bit longer because of that. Whereas now, the value compared to going to Disney Plus or wherever,
it's not so much that the quality is necessarily that much better from other places. I think there's a quality problem at a lot of these like streaming places in their original content.
That's just because you haven't seen Kenobi yet.
Shut up. But I've not been super impressed with them. They're a bit fan servicey by and large. I'm thinking, obviously a lot of Disney Plusy stuff is like that. But if when I'm thinking of like quality, not so much HBO Max originals, but HBO of course has a reputation for making quality programming, right? And because that's all included in HBO Max, I would say that they're actually the best bet for consistent quality of some sort out of all of the competing streaming services. Because the Star Trek shows in Paramount Plus have been very ropey by and large. So
they have, but the reality is, if you want to watch Star Trek, you're going to pay for it to watch Star Trek.
Oh yeah, I'm not disputing that. But the point I'm trying to make here is that most of the original content from all these services is kind of rough. Like, I don't think any of the new ones that have... Well, I think Apple's
Apple might be.
They're getting there. Yeah, Apple are kind of clawing their way there. I've only got 2 examples, admittedly, of the shows, but I do like the 2 examples I've got now.
But other people have a few examples, I think. Like they're generally, maybe not things that we've seen, but there's a few things that I've seen that are Apple shows that people are quite into, more so than some of the other stuff.
Because, so, and the new Twilight Zone was terrible as well, just for the record, on Paramount/CBS All Access. So, you've got that. I think Disney Plus makes out churns out a lot of just fine things. Some of it bad, but mostly just fine, but nothing spectacular. I think that's it's basically the MCU problem, but for all Disney properties. So you've got that going on. And then Peacock, I mean, they've not done anything of note. Right, that's just
Hey, they had Saved by the Bell.
Hulu's an interesting place because Hulu already existed. Hulu was kind of there in the early days of Netflix anyway, so they have a couple of things that are notable.
Yeah, but the words Hulu original don't make me particularly interested either.
They're not salvage. I mean, truth be told, like, we're back to kind of the time when it's that HBO like static sound. It's like, okay, I'm about to watch something that's at least they're trying, that there's some quality here, because then it's not that they've never made anything bad. They made True Blood, right? So it's not, the track record's not clean. But by and large, though, they have a lot of high quality content, and it seems like they've usually got something. They just had We Own the City Startup, which is like a mini series from people who worked on The Wire. I watched the first episode of that; it was very high quality. It's not been that long since Lovecraft Country. It's not been that long Righteous Gemstones is a pretty good comedy. Like they have consistent things that seem of value and of interest. Whereas I would say like Netflix had that for a while, because we've said this in a few of these episodes in the last month or so. But Netflix, there was a time in 2016, 2017 where every couple of weeks there was at least something worth trying, and a lot of hits came out of that period.
I think I'm a little bit surprised, I think, by the exodus away from Netflix, because if you'd asked me, I'd have said just, hey, having enough stuff that, hey, it's just okay, probably would have been enough for the majority of people, like just the mass audience.
Well, yeah, but you're competing that with other stuff that's just okay, but has brands like Star Wars attached to it.
Yes.
So
I think that's the trick. That I think if Netflix was cheaper, it'd be fine.
Yeah, that's the third point I was going to make, is that Netflix is basically twice the price of most of the... HBO is quite pricey compared to the others as well, but Netflix...
As we just said, HBO have a brand in themselves. They have a brand of, we are a premium service that you want to pay for.
And as far as their original content goes, that reputation goes back to 1999, give or take, with Sopranos. So that's a long... They're known for their original programming far before streaming was a thing, and that's cool. Like, they have that legacy, and they get to own that, they get to use that as a tool and say, this is what we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have cultivated that brand of premium product, and that's why they probably won't lower their price. There's a famous story of it in the whiskey industry, which is really interesting. This ties in, I promise you. Where during the 80s, when vodka and clear spirits they were all the rage, no one wanted to drink whiskey. It was kind of seen as like, old fashioned, whatever. So all the whiskey makers were, right, okay, let's cut prices, let's make cheaper products, let's try and appeal. They made something called light whiskey, which was basically whiskey diluted with vodka, essentially, to try and appeal more to the current crowd. And you had a Maker's Mark went, no, screw this, we're putting our price up, and decided that they were going to market themselves as, we are a premium product. They didn't change anything in their recipe. Nothing about the drink changed. But they were just like, no, we're going to stake our place as we're the premium product that you want to pay more for, because this is the good stuff. And that endured for like, a good 25, 30 years. Even now, they can... You would probably recognize a bottle of it on the shelf, just because you see it in movies and all sorts of things, because it has that association from that period where they were like, no, we're going to claim that standard. And that's kind of what HBO's doing now, where, yes, they're charging more than the others, but because they've already cultivated that, no, we are the premium brand, they can. If they charge too little, they cost the risk of just devaluing that now.
Yeah. And it's inevitable the others are all going to rise up a bit over time anyway, but Netflix is notably like more than double the price of some of those others, right? If you're wanting, and this is the thing, Disney Plus includes 4K. There's no like different prices, so you have to compare it to the 4K Netflix option, which is more than double the price.
Is it more than double? Jesus, how much am I paying for Netflix?
It's like £16 for 4K now.
That sounds about right. Yeah. And Disney Plus, I believe, is
$7.
Yeah.
So, and Amazon includes 4K, and Amazon's 4K is not very good, but it does include it. Like, it's not like an extra thing.
And Amazon also has the, like, I wonder how many people are actually buying just Amazon Prime Video, and how many people just buy Amazon Prime, generally speaking, and how that just includes video amongst all the other stuff that Amazon Prime has. Because I know that's what I do. Yeah,
Amazon Prime has this weird thing where even if you only want it for the other thing, a lot of people might just see the value. Oh, well, I like the idea of both, so I'll get it because it's like a package deal, and I get to have the two things.
I think that's still only £7 or £8 a month.
I think it's £8. Yeah,
it's £8. Yeah, but also, okay, I get I get the delivery free and fast. I get there are Kindle books that are included for free, for example. There's a lot of other little perks on top of just, I'm not paying £8 for just their video service, which frankly I don't think would be worth it. But because it's included in everything else I get as part of that package, I'm like, yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, if you want it for random movies, I've found for years that Amazon has a better selection of random movies than Netflix does.
Yes.
And I would stand by that. So, it's particularly sticks out to me how overpriced Netflix starts to feel when you're not getting much in the way of original content. Obviously, yeah, they've got Stranger Things at the end of this month, and that's great. Like, and lots of people I'm sure are going to sign up for a month or two just to get those, those episodes. But like, it's tough, and a lot of people have gotten used to having it, and they might stick out for a while. But as more things come up where they see, oh, this other service is launching and it's half the price, and it's got something that I care about because it's a new Trek show, or because it's a new Star Wars show, or because it's whatever, then all of a sudden because this is the thing, I switch from, this is music, but I switched from Spotify to YouTube Music, and one of the reasons that I'd been wanting to do it and did it was because it also gave me the premium YouTube on top of just the music service. It was like, I get to, for basically the same price, I think it's like £1 more, I get both the no ads on YouTube but still support creators, and also get like the Spotify equivalent service.
Yeah,
so
I did the same thing. The driving factor was Spotify being really shitty. A few months ago.
They were making some moves, and it was like, okay, well, this is a good little excuse just to finally do it.
Reality is, I use YouTube Music on a, is that what it's called, YouTube Music? I think it is.
Yeah.
On a daily basis, and I have done for months now. I still think it's an inferior service to Spotify, is the sad reality.
Yeah, but when you package in the YouTube Premium with it, all of a sudden it's like, well, this is actually still pretty. This is actually better overall, though.
Right. I got. I mean, I don't know, you probably did it start with something similar. The free trial, right?
Yeah.
And I got used to no ads on YouTube, and also the thing that has annoyed me for years that YouTube hid behind a paywall is minimizing videos on my phone and then keep playing in the background and not stop as soon as I try to do something else.
It's hard to give that up once you're used to it.
Yeah, and once I was used to it, I was like, well, there's no point in paying for this and Spotify. Even if YouTube Music is a inferior service to Spotify, it's not by enough that it's worth me paying two bills.
But some things I like about it is a little bit more, actually. Like, Spotify's not perfect. I think there's a lot of little things in Spotify that annoyed me about how it worked, but so it's a bit of give and take for me. But this sounds like we're just shilling for a YouTube service, and we're on YouTube, so people do think we've got an incentive for you to do so. Trust me.
I wish we did.
I will happily shit on YouTube when they make a stupid, dumbass decision, because they do. Often.
A lot of the time, yeah. I'm sure there are many videos of us shitting on YouTube.
This is just a good example of like the combination service beating the rival music service, which I just think is relevant to what we're talking about here with some of these streaming options. Say versus Amazon that has the extra things on top. So, that is worth mentioning. It's worth noting. So, no,
it's probably why people will pick up Paramount Plus bundled with Sky, right? Because it's only a few extra pound added on to my package already.
Yeah. If you happen to have Sky, and but obviously they want it to be a standalone service too, because more and more people are giving up things like cable and satellite because they don't want these big huge bills. They want just a few streaming services that they can cancel at any time and swap over when. And
I think that's what we spoke about before. Yes, people are like, oh, it's like cable all over again. Once you add up all these bills, it's X amount a month, and yes, but the reality is you can just drop in and out of all of them as you choose each month. You don't have to have all of them at the same time. Yeah,
I would recommend only ever having 2 or 3 at a time and just sort of rotate through, and that way you're never too bogged down. And it's it is better. Like, it being a la carte is way better than, oh, you only get this specific, you only get the horror channel if you get the XL package, which is, $40 a month because it's in that bundle, and that's the only way you can get that channel. Like, this is easily better. The fact you can just go and get Shudder for, like $7, $8 a month, whatever it is, like, is fantastic.
Right. And I think that there's a lot of these niche services, and I think they're just going to get more and more. And because I think fundamentally, like, Disney Plus is a niche service. It's got bigger appeal, but it's niche in the sense that 80% of their subscribers that are there for new content are there for Star Wars and Marvel, if not more, right? That is, it's a very specific audience target. They happen to be a very big audience, but it's still they're targeting kind of one thing. And it's the same with Paramount Plus. A lot of their target audience is just, hey, we're here for Star Trek. And that's not that different to Shudder, where we're here for horror, or Crunchyroll, where you're here for anime. It's kind of like that same thing. You know, they're different varying audience sizes, but mostly they're fairly focused services still. Like I say, even Disney Plus.
Yeah, obviously they don't necessarily want that long term because they're obviously they keep trying to make other things work, and some things will break through eventually and be successes on their own and add some variety. In the same way that you see, Paramount has like what the Yellowstone spin-off, so they're trying to like do more things like that gain their own following. So I mean, credit to Apple in the sense that things like Ted Lasso, and not to quite the same big extent, but it's not just me that likes Severance. Like that was seeing some buzz online for that. Like people were discovering it and going, "Hey, this is a cool original show."
The Shyamalan show?
Oh, the one with the baby servant. What I say?
Yeah, that was. People seem to be into that for the most part.
I think season 4 of that or something like that's coming soon. Like that's
Jesus, really?
Yeah, it's that's how long Apple Plus has been.
Jesus, that's time is scary. I thought that was on like season 2 still.
Well, someone pointed out like yesterday or the day before was like it'd been like a 10-year anniversary since the Avengers came out, and I was like, oh god.
I think it was the same thing. It was a few months ago when it was the anniversary was released. Something about how long Hot Fuzz had been out.
Oh yeah,
like, oh god.
Yeah, 2007. That's 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh god, it's that long.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Yeah, it's time is a scary
I
bitch.
think I had that. I don't know if I told you before the last Bond film came out. It was just kind of before they delayed it for the first time for the pandemic, where they were in the marketing cycle building up to it because that's how close it was, and they were talking about Bond has been out of the game for like 5 years. This is where we're picking up. I was like, oh cool, 5 years. I guess they're skipping a bit of time, whatever. And then I was like, shit, the last movie was 5 years ago. I was like, when did that happen? It didn't feel like that at all. Terrifying. Yeah,
obviously things right now are a little bit. They've got an extra little layer of like 2 years were basically on pause for a lot of the movie industry.
We went to book a holiday last week, like we were looking. Oh, we'll look for a holiday for later in the year, and then Paige ended up looking at last minute deals. I was at work and went on my break. She goes, "How do you feel about this holiday in 3 weeks' time?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" Because last minute deals tend to be cheaper.
And
then she was like, "Okay, cool, I'll look into it." And then half an hour later, I was like, she goes, "My passport's out of date." I've lost because in her mind she still had like a year and a half on it or whatever, but because we'd lost, not really, but kind of lost those 2 years, so to speak. It's like, oh yeah, guess we should sort that out.
So that was a bit of a tangent, but
it was mostly relevant to TV.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, we probably have to stop having this conversation or variations of it because it's happened a few times. But basically, it's kind of just disheartening how little I care about Netflix as a platform now.
Yes, I agree, and I agree that we should stop having that conversation. But at least this time it was a slightly different angle, and it had a specific focus in what we brought to that one. I think compared to the usual Netflix.
I think the more niche ones appeal to me more a little bit now. Something like I don't have Shudder right this minute, but like Shudder, I do appreciate that it is very much like no, this is for a specific community who likes a very specific type of thing, and they'll just try and fill it.
Like how I assume they're still doing the WWE one, right?
Although that kind of became because the thing with the WWE is that service replaced their previous model, which was the pay-per-view model.
Yeah.
So that was $50 you had to pay per pay-per-view, as opposed to just paying 10 per month. But the idea is that so many more people would be willing to pay 10 per month, and that would cover the cost.
And more of them would just stay year round. So even because the pay-per-views are what, quarterly?
Monthly.
Are they monthly?
For them, yeah, they're monthly.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I thought they were quarterly.
So it's hell. Sometimes they're more than monthly. sometimes you get to the end of the year and they've had like 15 in the year, so it's it works out kind of weird. But that's the thing, so they went for X amount of years, and it's kind of unequivocally a bit of a failure in that they never quite got enough subscribers to justify the change. So that's why they made a deal with Peacock, and in the US now it's like tied to Peacock, and Peacock, Universal pay them money to like host all their content in there, and that's how they're recouping it. So that one's a bit murky. That's a sort of example where they tried to replace a lot of their income from before with this new model that was cheaper, and it kind of didn't work.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. Like in the UK, we've got BritBox, which was teamed up with like all the major broadcasters. Like it was BBC, ITV, and Channel 4, I think, were the kind of the three main contributors. And from what I'm aware of, ITV have bought out the others and are just transforming it going forward into an ITV service.
ITV Plus.
Well, they already had. They already had a service.
That sounds like a dystopian nightmare to me. I can't imagine wanting to watch anything from ITV.
So, wait, do you not want to watch all the episodes of Love Island?
Like, the only things I can think of that I have ever liked from ITV since childhood, right, going all the way back, is Art Attack.
Oh, yeah.
I think... probably just game shows. Like, that's probably it. They made some game shows that were entertaining, and that was probably it.
They probably still do. You just don't watch them anymore.
True, yeah. But like, I'm thinking the ones I watched when I did watch. You know, I'm pretty sure Catchphrase was on ITV. I'm pretty sure Family Fortunes was ITV, and some other ones. But like, that's basically it.
Yeah.
ITV does nothing for me.
I can't think of any ITV original content, like dramatized programming that I would want to see.
No.
Which I'm very concerned because BritBox has been objectively, I think, quite a good service in terms of having that wide range of content, but still being like, hey, this is all your UK created content essentially, and also it has all of Doctor Who on it. So I hope that doesn't go anywhere because I really like having all of Doctor Who somewhere available to stream. I suppose they could shift it over to iPlayer again because that's. Like Torchwood is still all on iPlayer and not on BritBox, which is weird. But iPlayer is free, so there's pros and cons.
Yeah, it's just messy.
Yeah,
it's messy. Don't make it messy. The whole thing's meant to, like, streamers meant to make it easier that you get all the content from the one place because they own it from the one service. Don't start divvying things up. It just makes everyone want to avoid streaming and go other places, which you don't want, so stop it.
It's almost like they've learned nothing from the music industry over the last 20 years.
Oh yeah, I know. It's baffling. Anyway, let's move into the dramas on the news this week. So, first up, Viola Davis is in talks to star in another spin-off to Suicide Squad and Peacemaker about Amanda Waller.
Okay. She's a good Amanda Waller.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily want a TV show just about Amanda Waller, though.
Depends what it is. I can see the potential in that, to be honest.
But yeah, so another DC Comics TV spin-off for HBO Max. It certainly shows that they're not slowing down on developing more DC things for HBO Max in the wake of the whole Warner Discovery thing. So,
no, that's not surprising to me. I think they kind of have to, because I think that's an easy area to rival Disney Plus with, right? Is, hey, we can still have all our other prestige programming, but we can directly rival all their Marvel content with DC content if we want to.
Aye. So, yeah, James Gunn will be executive producing the project. He did say at some point earlier that there was another spin-off being developed that is connected to the universe, but won't be as much of a comedy as Peacemaker is. So we kind of finally know that this is what it is. It's an Amanda Waller show of some kind. So, yeah, there's no details about, like anything else, like what the plot would be or whatever.
No, like I say, if it was me, it would be Amanda Waller, like, juggling all the different things that she does. Like, yes, she runs Suicide Squad, but she has a lot of other things. Her trying to answer to, other government officials, kind of justifying what she does without giving away detail. That sort of kind of thriller espionage stuff kind of angle on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's not the first character I'd pick to be a protagonist in something. Like, I think she's a great character in the DC universe. I don't necessarily think I would ever pick her to be the lead in a story, but
I agree. I wouldn't either.
I would give her like an episode, like, if she was in a show, right, and you give her like a special episode that follows her perspective, that'd be cool. But
no, I actually agree with you on this. But I also, if it is happening, I'm just trying to think of, okay, how would you go about it? And I can see if you're there told, right, go and make this show, I can see the angles you would take on it potentially and create something hopefully good. At least not inherently bad on concept.
Next up, we got Obliterated, which is an action comedy series that is being set to go. It's ordered at Netflix. It comes from the creators of Cobra Kai, so what's interesting about this one is that it was actually originally ordered in 2019 at TBS, and probably the pandemic is why it kind of, amongst a lot of other projects, just kind of got left behind.
This is an action comedy. Why are we talking about it in this section and not with the comedies?
Well, because action comedy, I'm still assuming, is going to be 40-minute to an hour action show. Just because it's comedic doesn't put it into the sitcom territory, which is where, what the comedy section is.
Are we renaming the comedy section to sitcoms now?
Well, no, but if something goes into an hour-long slot on TV, right, or the equivalent in a streaming service in this case, that goes in the dramas. That's what the drama section is.
I think you're stretching the rules a little bit here.
Look, it sounds better to say comedies and dramas than say the half-hour shows and the hour shows.
But you need to be more upfront so you don't get sued for misleading your subscribers.
I've got a funny feeling that the upcoming upfronts you're not going to do too well.
Oh, we do those.
I think we're about that time. But anyway, so this is a high-octane action comedy that tells the story of an elite special forces team who thwarts a deadly threat to Las Vegas. After the celebratory party with booze, drugs, and sex, the team discovers that the bomb they deactivated was a fake. The now intoxicated team now have to fight through their impairments, overcome their personal issues,
God damn it,
and find the real bomb and save the world. How big is the bomb that it's going to... I thought it would just be Vegas that would be screwed, not the whole planet.
Would think, wouldn't you? But...
How many megatons you need to to do the whole planet? I don't know.
42.
Reasonable guess, I suppose. So yeah. So maybe it will be a half-hour show, but to me that sounds like it's going to be a...
That sounds like a half-hour Netflix show. Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm skeptical.
Well, time will prove me right.
Only if you're still alive to be proven right.
Hey, my liver will do its job. Don't you worry about
that. All right. Next up, Jeff Daniels is going to star in a new limited series at Netflix, and he was in Godless, which was one of Netflix's good limited series.
It was.
Really saw a little western. David E. Kelly and Regina King producing, which is cool. So this is A Man in Full. It's a 6-episode limited series based on Tom Wolfe's 1998 novel. The story centers around Charlie Croker, a polarizing and robust Atlanta real estate mogul who faces sudden bankruptcy. Crude, rude, and irrepressible, Charlie defends his empire against all takers at any cost.
Oh, okay.
There's not a whole lot there to get excited about, but I can kind of see, at least that description of the character, I can kind of see Jeff Daniels giving it his all in a performance of being this this bastard who's trying to hold on to his empire, if you will. I can see that working. But whether or not the show will look appealing just kind of comes down to write and direct and all the usual things that you can't really get from this.
Yeah, it's all well and good having a strong lead actor, and it is a good start, but the rest remains to be seen.
All right, let's talk about Project Nemesis.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
Not to be confused with the Nemesis project from Resident Evil, the hit video game series from Capcom.
Such a hit that they were like, let's reboot it again.
How about Resident Evil 8 just came out last year.
Exactly, and they're due a reboot any day now.
And hell, Resident Evil 3, the one with Nemesis, got remade the year before that, so it was...
Do a reboot any day now, Pete.
Project Nemesis. is what we're talking about. So Jeremy Robinson's The Nemesis Saga is a novel series, and the first book is Project Nemesis, which is what's been developed into presumably the first season potentially of a show by Sony Television. So Project Nemesis is based on Robinson's kaiju thriller. It delivers in destruction common to the kaiju genre, but not without sacrificing character. When the DNA of Nemesis stars, the Greek goddess of vengeance, what? Shut up. Is merged with that.
Why is that your problem here?
Because
we're in a kaiju show and you're worried about some Greek gods.
I'm just cracking a joke that I associate Nemesis with Resident Evil, and any other version I just refute. I'm just doing a bit of character stuff here, right? Just go with it.
No, it's terrible.
Right. So Nemesis, the Greek goddess of vengeance, is merged with that of Mago, a murdered little girl. Or maybe it's Majo, maybe it's a soft G. I'm not sure. But merged with Majo, a murdered little girl. The resulting trauma-fueled kaiju rampages from the backwoods of Maine to the streets of Boston in search of their killer. Heading up the response to this otherworldly threat is John Hudson, a sarcastic DHS agent whose leadership of the agency's paranormal division was a joke until now. So,
I want to read these books. This sounds fun.
It does sound okay. Honestly, the idea that the kaiju merges with a dead girl who wants to find her killer is okay. That gives the kaiju some direction and interest that I think is cool. And then the idea that you've got this guy who was kind of the Mulder who was like, joked about, or maybe he's not even like that. Maybe even he thought it was like, oh, I'm in this shithole division because no one wants me because I'm disgraced or something. And now all of a sudden, oh wait, this is now I'm in charge of the kaiju squad. Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting vibes of a comic recently called Homesick Pilots, which kind of has kaiju houses and other buildings kind of being kaijuized.
Oh, interesting. Maybe a little bit of Colossal, the Anne Hathaway movie. A little touch of that in there as well. Yeah, it's a decent little movie actually. So yeah. Honestly, like I could see all the ways this will fall apart, and all the ways that it may just be kind of like surface level, but I can see the potential for the fun in this. So
yeah, it's definitely got potential for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, Project Nemesis.
All the jokes we cracked about it, and then turned out to actually be quite interesting.
Yeah. I won't be as good as the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I'm pretty sure of that.
It'll surpass it in every way, including gameplay.
Shut up. Next up, so yeah, the father-son duo of Henry and Max Winkler. You'll know who the father is, right? From Fonzie.
Sure, yeah.
Obviously he's also in Scream. Arrested Development's kind of the big thing that I would know him from, but I know you've not watched that, so I didn't want to go with that. I was like, he jumps the shark. I was wanting to say that, but
you probably could have just said that, and I'd have gone, okay, I know who you are about.
But anyway, so HBO is working with them. They're developing King Rex, a limited series, where Henry Winkler's going to star, and his son Max is directing the pilot. And this is the first time that they've worked together. So it's based on the November 1980 Texas Monthly article, Rex Cobble and the Cowboy Mafia by Lawrence Wright. The project explores a buried treasure of a true crime mystery, how a North Texas kingdom got itself smashed to pieces by a judge's gavel, the IRS, and the FBI. Henry Winkler will play the gangster Cobble. I'm trying to think of him in like a super serious role. He's always been kind of a comedic guy to me. That's kind of interesting. But he's going to play the gangster Cobble, and insiders say that the character is straight out of the gangster film Casino, and unlike any character the Emmy winner has ever played. So yeah,
there you go then.
So yeah, it's Deadline. I did a little bit on there at the end that wasn't obviously the original show text, but yeah, okay.
I get that this doesn't sound bad, but
Yeah.
Probably not for me. I'm not super into gangster stuff that much.
Yeah. So I think his son is one of the people who worked on Barry, which is, I know a lot of people like that.
People did like that a lot. Yeah.
So I
Also,
assume
pretty sure. Go on.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I'm sure that means he directed some of that, if not all of it.
That would
So.
make sense. Yeah. People like that show, so probably going to be solid work again.
Yeah.
Just gonna say, I'm pretty sure Rex translates as king, so the title is just King King.
Maybe that's the point. Maybe he's that much of a narcissist.
It's the King of Kings.
Yes.
Wait, that's just an emperor. Never mind. Carry on.
Yeah, but King of Kings might sound killer, depending on.
It does. I don't know why they dropped that and started using emperor. I guess it's less of a mouthful, but King of Kings does sound cooler.
All right. Next up, The Prince of Tides, which is another movie that's getting turned into a TV show. I have to confess, I'm not familiar with this movie.
No, me either.
Nah. But Tate Taylor, who directed The Help, is developing the adaptation. It was a 1991 film. This is for Apple TV Plus. It starred Barbara Streisand and Nick Nolte. The film told the story of a New York psychiatrist who is treating Sally, an emotionally scarred woman who finds it helpful to discuss her South Carolina family's troubled history with her twin brother. He and the psychiatrist find themselves drawn together by their equally turbulent pasts, and they form an alliance that ultimately leads to romance.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
I can see this functioning as a TV show, though.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird sort of like, it's funny how some of the movies that are being picked for, oh, we're going to do that as a TV show now. Like, it's relatively random in the sense that now it's not just what the hits were, it's like they're looking for interest. You know, not this.
In a way, it has me more, not excited, but more
Optimistic.
More optimistic, less concerned with, because they're not doing this as just name recognition cash grab, because no one's heard of this film. Well, I'm sure some people have, but the vast majority of people really haven't.
Yeah, I don't even mean to imply this didn't do well for the type of like drama or whatever it was. Maybe it did do well at the time, but the point being is that this is not being picked because, like you say, name recognition. This is someone's looking at this and going, oh, this could make a TV show, and they're developing it under that, which is more potential. There's more potential in that than just, oh, we'll use this name and then we'll try and think of a TV show to work with that name.
Right, exactly. And ultimately, I think it doesn't sound like something for us, but that doesn't mean it'll be a bad show for what it's trying to do. I mean, it might still be bad anyway. That's always possible. But I don't think it'll be bad because it's an adaptation of a film that they wanted to cash in on, like a lot of the other ones are.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, The Lioness, which is a novel by Chris Bohjalian. I'm going to go with Bohjalian. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. What's the JB, like one of those like ones you pronounce like Y or something. But anyway, so The Lioness is going to be adapted by E1 for TV. It is a historical fiction thriller that follows a Hollywood starlet and her entourage as they embark on a luxurious African safari that turns deadly. And
it sounds pulpy, and I'm into it.
Yeah, it's not even out yet. It's coming out on May 10th, so very soon. So it's in a few days. But
I already have 2 books arriving that day, so I probably shouldn't. But maybe.
What's notable here is that this author's previous book was The Flight Attendant, which HBO Max adapted into that show that's doing relatively well. So there's some credibility there as far as
it sounds. I can see the potential for this as a TV show for sure.
Yeah, sounds more like a one and done limited series though.
It does.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. Unless somehow they get into another adventure in season 2.
I mean, that is how a lot of these pulpy things tend to go, right?
Yeah. Next up, Don Cheadle's The Radical Act banner and Adam Scott's Getting Rad Productions. The Radical Act and Getting Rad, that's a funny pair to be collaborating on something.
Maybe they decided they had we need to collaborate on something just because of our names.
But yeah, they're joining up to develop a show about the 2010 arrest of a dozen black politicians and operatives in Georgia over alleged voter fraud and the fallout that followed. It's based on John Ward's 2019 article, How a Criminal Investigation in Georgia Set an Ominous Tone for the African American Voters. So obviously a very big serious topic, something that I'm sure they feel very passionate about. And obviously reading that paragraph sounds quite dry, but it may also actually be very informative, I imagine, the final product.
Yeah, and I can definitely see how this is dramatized into an effective TV show.
Yeah. There's a bit bigger paragraph here, but it's effectively talking about how, all of a sudden a lot of Republicans and the news would be showing images of like these prisoners in their jumpsuits and things like that on TV. A lot of using it as ammunition, effectively, amongst other things. So, yeah, it's one of those things that's hard to be excited about on its own. It's called Quitman 10+2 is the title, which I'm sure is relevant to something.
And a significantly less of a mouthful than the title of the article.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And when I say 10+2, it's written, the number's 10, then a plus sign, then 2. So Quitman 10+2. So it actually doesn't look that long as a title. It's a lot to read out comparatively, but
yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. That is Don Cheadle and Adam Scott producing that. So next up, Janelle Monáe is going to star as the iconic entertainer and freedom fighter Josephine Baker in the TV series De La Resistance, or Resistance, probably is how you might pronounce it, but I don't see an accent, so I'm just going with it.
Like just De La Resistance.
I don't do French. I don't.
Nor do I, but I'm just making a guess.
Whatever. A24's behind this though, so this is one of their TV developments.
So this is probably going to be fairly good.
You would expect. The focus of the drama will be on Baker's role as a spy for the Allies during the French resistance, helping defeat the Nazis, and on her experience as one of the world's most iconic, talented, and glamorous entertainers. I wonder if this is going to do a thing where it jumps between like when things were normal before, like occupied France, and like when she was just being who she was, or after. I don't know if she was as famous before or after it, but the idea it'll contrast between what she was doing during the war and her time as an entertainer.
Normality, yeah.
So, yeah. And again, another
Sounds
one.
like it could be good, yeah.
Yeah, another one that might be quite informative to people who don't know her story.
And I think maybe more interesting than the last one as a TV show, in the sense of just based off this here, we've got a bit more information. We've got a star attached. We've got A24. Yeah. I kind of know what to expect from a A24 product in terms of what they go for.
This is a bit further along in that sense. There's no destination for it, but it does mention here that apparently there's a bit of a bidding war between the streamers to get it.
I'm not surprised at all by that.
So they probably all want a slice of this because they can see it as the potential. Yeah. As far as like typically, some things feel like they're more at home at certain places because of the genre or whatever. This is a bit more neutral and just more of a prestige project. So generally speaking, I just want it to go somewhere where it'll get its due. So HBO or Apple.
It says a lot. Yeah, I was going to say that my first thought when you're describing this, I say, oh, yeah, okay, this is the prestige project.
Yeah.
My mind went to Apple. We'll probably want this.
Yeah, Apple and HBO are the two that I would say it would fare best at. But that's not to say that it, like, if Hulu or whoever wanted to put the money and effort into it, like that could be their big thing. They could say, hey, we did this one, and it's going to get a lot of acclaim and so on.
I don't see it on Amazon, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I don't see it on Shudder.
No, but I'm
or Crunchyroll, unless Crunchyroll really wants to start branching out.
Right, but let's be reasonable here. There's no explicit reason why it shouldn't be on Amazon.
Yes.
Beyond just me bringing in my biases and expectations of what an Amazon show is.
I don't see it on Tubi.
We could sit here all night if we had a list on places we don't see it on. Do you know where I don't see it on?
Where?
Stan.
That is a deep pull.
That is a deep pull.
I don't know if Stan still exists. I'm going to check.
Does don't know. I hope it exists. Just,
yeah.
It probably doesn't because Australia got Netflix now.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Stan was just a streaming service in Australia back when they didn't have Netflix. Stan streaming. Oh no, it exists.
Still going strong.
It has 2.3 million users as of the 4th of May last year. So I assume it's still.
That's not bad for something that's just in one country.
Yeah, still going. Yeah, headquarters Sydney, Australia. Stan service. Stan. Yeah. I'm just curious. Is it anywhere other than Australia? I don't.
It definitely wasn't at the time.
Yeah, I don't think so. But
it's been a long time since I've looked into Stan.
Oh, there's even an article on Wikipedia for Stan original content.
Oh, see, look at them.
They got original content.
They got this.
I'm proud of
Australia. Maybe this is a Stan original. Who knows?
I am proud of Australia for doing this, knocking this out.
They learned from our cultural legacy of Dave.
Hey, interesting.
They took it into the streaming world.
Interesting tidbit in 2017. This was how Australians watched Twin Peaks. This is where the new Twin Peaks aired in Australia. So
maybe this really is a Stan show. I take it back.
Connor stands for Stan.
Don't we all?
All right, final story of the week. It's actually one of the bigger ones, but typically I put the main networks, the basic networks at the end. So even though this felt like it probably is a bigger deal, it should have been further up the list. And that is NBC has ordered a reboot of Quantum Leap.
Oh, okay.
And what's interesting is, I was reading this earlier, is that it is actually set in continuity of sorts with the original show.
So they're gonna address that ending.
It's not recast, the character. So Quantum Leap, of course, was a sci-fi show from maybe the late 80s, but mostly the 90s. And you had oh god, what's his name? The main actor, Dean Stockwell, but the main actor was
Scott.
Also from Star Trek Enterprise.
Yeah.
Oh, Bakula. How did I forget Bakula?
There we go.
I think I remember Bakula. Anyway, so yeah, did a reboot. So it's been ordered. So the early pilot buzz was reported earlier in the week or last week, and it looked good for the pickup. And this is like NBC's one of the first people to actually order one of their new pilots to series. And this article points out that they tend to be first for whatever reason. NBC tends to be a little earlier.
It's about that time of year though. It is usually May, June.
Yeah.
And we are in May now.
We are.
Areas that is.
We are, yeah. So that is cool. They're doing some reshoots in the pilot, which is not that irregular.
But, normal, yeah.
But yeah, so what's interesting is that it's going to pick up in present day, and it's going to actually reference the fact that the character from the original, the official wording here, it's been 30 years since Dr. Sam Beckett stepped into the Quantum Leap accelerator and vanished. Now a new team have been assembled to restart the project in the hopes of understanding the mysteries behind the machine and the man who created it. So that is, they're using it as the backdrop. It is in continuity that this happened, which means like they could totally cameo at some point. Like they could totally do
I think it's not just a could. I think they will.
Yeah. Season 1, you think it's happening in season 1? You think they're going to do it? Yeah.
100%.
If they were smart, they'd use it as a selling point for a renewal and say, "No, we're going to do this next year, though." Yeah, so.
No, I think they do that, but I think they do it in the final episode. They show him. They can bring him in and be like, "Hey, look, we can get more of this next year."
Yeah. And I've heard a little bit of buzz. The actor who is the lead in this show, Raymond Lee here is the star. I've not seen him in anything, but apparently he was good in a sitcom. I was hearing some buzz about him on Twitter, so maybe they've got a good lead here as well, which is encouraging.
That helps, yeah.
I know. Me and Tara have been talking about what we'll do when we're finished with Babylon 5, and Quantum Leap was one of the shows that was thrown around. If there's going to be a new show on that's any good, maybe that's more of a reason to be reviewing the old show. But
let's get cracking.
Hey, we'll get there when we get B5 needs to finish first.
Who cares about that?
Any people care about that. More people watch those Babylon 5 reviews than anything you're on, so
I'm aware.
Oh, so it's salt. There's some salt in this here. Right.
Oh yeah. That's
fine.
Clearly,
we can live with that. So yeah, I mean, this is neat. Like Quantum Leap, I appreciate that they're not just like trying to make the same character again with a new actor. Like they're saying this is something that can be this experiment that something went wrong with. There's a mystery to it, from 30 years ago. So you can use that as a bit of a mysterious backdrop, and because it's a very episodic style of narrative, and its concept, it does lend itself well to TV and telling different interesting stories each episode. So
it does, yeah.
So because those of you who don't know, I mean, I've not watched the original show, so I might not get this exactly right, but the main characters jumping from like different times periods into different characters' bodies, and
yeah, it temporarily possesses people's bodies, essentially, right?
So he's trying to get home. That's the whole concept of the show.
And clearly, as this description spoils, he does not.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that spoils that necessarily.
He has been missing for 30 years.
He may secretly get home, and the world just doesn't know about it.
I mean, sure, but I think this description very clearly.
I mean, I'm not mad about that because, I'm someone who spends a lot of time on the internet. I have seen the final text screen of the show, which I won't spoil for people, just in case you've not seen it. But
it's quite funny, though, isn't it?
I know what the final thing you see in that show is, just because it's a bit of pop culture at this point, pop culture history. But, yeah, so be kind of interested if this show gets to fix that and gets to say, hey, we're going to actually give you like that character's happy ending now after all this time.
Or maybe there was a happy ending all along and we just didn't know it.
Maybe. I don't know. So that's cool. This is a neater pickup, and I very rarely even toy with checking out a network show at this point. But I mean, I'll definitely throw this in the pilot vote if nothing else when it's hitting.
I bet you will, yeah.
But hey, there you go. That is this week's TV news. Connor, what was your favorite news item of the week?
I can't remember what I was excited about. The kaiju one. I don't know, probably.
Project Nemesis, that's what you're going with. Okay.
Maybe. I don't remember what else there was already, I'll be honest. I've forgotten.
That's fair. That sounded alright. I think Quantum Leap's maybe a little interesting just because it's I've always been
what it is.
Intrigued by the old show. What worst thing by far was that stupid Game of Thrones spin-off trailer.
I believe you didn't even watch the trailer properly and have a serious discussion about all the themes that trailer is bringing.
I didn't want to.
The shit you make me watch. Disgraceful.
Dear.
You're doing such a disservice to our audience.
No, it's payback because you were enjoying the fact that I was watching a terrible movie last night for Screams. So
you are always watching a terrible movie, Screams. If someone's not enjoying that, then what's the point?
I don't want you to enjoy it. Everyone else can enjoy it. I just don't want you to enjoy it. That's the.
I'm sorry. I am people. Allegedly.
Debatable. That has been the TV news. Let us know what you thought of the various stories this week in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. Check out, of course, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and naturally all the different TV review stuff that's went out in the past week or so. The classic shows, of course, are Star Trek Next Generation, Babylon 5, but you can, of course, check out newest reviews of Better Call Saul, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I don't think that review will be up when this news goes up, but it'll probably be out tomorrow after this news goes up. And the Picard finale will be coming a day or two after that. So there was a lot of like bunched up TV stuff right at the same part of the week. So
I assume you watched Star Trek.
I've watched Strange New Worlds so far.
Right. Just give me a yes or no. Worth checking out.
I don't like spoiling my review.
One word.
Maybe.
I regret giving you a one-word answer.
Possibly.
Oh, and I guess I'll just have to check out the review to find out why.
Aye. You will. So, thank you for joining us, everyone. It's been a pleasure. You keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?